It is my pleasure to welcome to the Paris International Film Festival the director, writer, co-lead producer of The In-Between, showing as part of this festival, Mindy Bledsoe. Hello.
Hi everyone.
How are you doing?
Doing very well. Thank you all for watching.
That's brilliant. As we say, we're here to talk about your film, The In-Between. Just rattled off a number of roles there. That's quite a lot to tackle, isn't it?
Yes, yes, I wouldn't want to do it again, but it just kind of seemed to happen for this one.
Yeah. And because is this your feature, at least directorial debut as well?
It is. Yeah, it is my directorial debut as for a feature film.
Hmm.
And the reason I have so many roles is because I was approaching 40 and I hadn't made my feature film yet, and I was starting to get pretty antsy about it. And my husband, who's also my cinematographer of the movie, we've been working a lot of years together, but we'd never made our feature film together. And, over too many cocktails one evening, we thought it would be a great idea to not go on vacation, but instead take money and go make our own feature without any studio input, nobody else's input, just back it ourselves and see what happened. And, a month later, we hit the road. Actually in production. So when we decided to do it, we decided to do it very quickly.
Yeah. So that's a pretty short time span. Was there much room for planning or anything like that?
Yeah, as much as possible.
Hmm.
We wrote a 65-page script. We knew point A, point M, and point Z. And kind of everything in between was a little bit found, at least on the road. So, we traveled 4,500 miles in 14 days to shoot this movie. So, we start in LA, we go to Las Vegas, we go to Utah, then over to South Dakota. And I know this isn't as familiar for you guys, but it's pretty much like half the US, 4,500 miles. 14 days. We knew what we had to get done, but we left everything open for serendipitous moments. And that's we kind of feel about this whole film. It was that everything just kind of fell into place to work very well for us. I would never suggest anyone shooting a film like this. It was not easy.
So how much of the finished product, and in fact, much of what you did along the way while filming, how much of that was improvised or sort of made up in the moment?
As a director, the way I like to take scenes, especially if I've written the scene or have taken part in writing the scene, is we know what we need to accomplish in this scene. Yeah. I am not glued to the words that I wrote. So if you, through your character, can find a better way to say it, I'm all for it. So I always leave the moments open for improv. I don't think I'm that great of a writer. I think when people speak to each other, there's a lot of ums and a lot of and a lot of as we try to figure out the words. So I like to keep those moments in there as much as possible. So yes, a lot of it's improvised, but also no, because we knew where we had to go as actors.
This really strikes me as something that was one of the key things to it was collaboration, was people coming together. Can you talk to me about some of the people that you did collaborate with this along the way?
Yeah, so Jennifer Stone, who's my co-lead and co-producer and co-writer, I had actually just met her about 7 months before. I was an editor on a movie that she starred in, and the director said, I think you guys should meet. You might be friends. Y'all would get along. And, she was, a decade and a half younger than me. But when we met, we did get along. Jennifer Stone in real life has type 1 diabetes. And I in real life have complex regional pain syndrome, which is what our characters have. And when we became friends, we really bonded on that chronic illness platform that we both have together. And when we started writing the script for The In-Between, I hit up Jennifer and I was like, hey, we're thinking about going to do this movie, and I don't know, maybe like a horror movie, like do you want to be a part of it? And she was like, I don't want to be a part of a horror movie. But I do want to go on a road trip. And I was like, well, yeah, that sounds perfect. A road trip movie is great. And she said, but first and foremost, whatever characters we write, they have to have these chronic illnesses.
Yeah.
We don't need to make the movie about the chronic illnesses, but these characters have to have it. So that was like her one caveat of joining the production and helping co-write. So once we kind of realized that was important about our characters, we really jumped off and just went going. And that's when we pulled in our other producer, Chris Lyon, whom, you know, we've all known for quite a while. Like, we've all been working in the industry for over 10 years each. And, you know, we just kind of all said, yeah, let's not go on vacation and take a 2-week road trip and make a movie in the meantime. You know, so that was pure. If we didn't trust each other the way that we did, we wouldn't have been able to get that movie done. Because again, I mean, there was only 4 of us on the crew, you know, so, you know, you have to be okay, and we had to trust on that collaboration as much as possible. So it was incredibly fulfilling too.
Did the familiarity with each other help with that?
Say again?
Did the familiarity that you had with each other sort of help with that?
Yes, because we kind of knew each other's weak spots. And when you know the other person's weak spots, it's easier to cover. There was no pretending whatsoever. There wasn't like, hi, how are you? I hope you have a good morning. It's like, I did not sleep well last night, so don't talk to me right now, but in 5 minutes we're going to talk and we're going to get this all done. And we knew that no one's feelings were hurt because we didn't have time for that. So yeah, the familiarity of each other certainly helped, because we didn't have to worry about stepping on each other's toes. We knew the rank of everything, and we knew what we needed to accomplish, and you put your head down and we went and we did it.
Sort of going from that into one of the things that you sort of mentioned in your previous answer, when you mentioned chronic illness, there was a mild chuckle that you sort of let out. You don't let this get you down, do you?
Oh gosh, no. No. I've had CRPS for 17 years now. So, you know, it's just a buddy of mine, and we hang out all the time. So no, I can't let it get me down. It's made me half of who I am now. So now I'm sure you could catch me in a few days when I'm having a flare up, and I may say, no, it's awful. But no, I don't want it to get me down. I like to work through it. I like accomplishing something at the end of it.
Is Jennifer much the same when it comes to her diabetes?
Oh gosh, so much.
Yeah.
And you know, Jennifer Stone, she's amazing. I mean, she works through so much. So not only is she acting, but she just finished nursing school, and she's an ER nurse by day, or actually by night right now, and doing auditions during the day. And I mean, if anyone with a chronic illness knows, like, she's working nights, she's working 12-hour night shifts, and then getting up and existing during the middle of the day. So yeah, she is very much the same way. And I think a lot of people with chronic illnesses are like, once you identify it and you say, okay, you're mine, you're not going anywhere, I accept you. How do I learn to work with you? How do I learn to be stronger than you when I need to be? So yeah. And I think that's one of the big reasons Jen and I just bonded the way that we did, is we completely understood that about each other.
There's this real tone of friendship that sort of runs throughout the film. Did you just try and capture that in the script, or because Jennifer helped to co-write the script, didn't she? Or was it partway through production when it came to improvising that came?
No, the friendship, making sure that the friendship was there was incredibly important. First and foremost, you know, I as a female writer director, I want to make stories that don't exist around men. No offense. But I love female relationships. I love females, and I love the female brain, and I like to see them exist without a man being their main drive. So, you know, I'm a little older, so, you know, that's the cinema world that I grew up seeing. So it's always been important with me. And you can look at all of my like past shorts and everything, is strong female characters that know themselves and aren't out to destroy each other. is just like a clear focus for me. Those are the women I know in my life.
Yeah.
And, you know, so I want to see them represented on screen more.
Yeah.
So luckily, Jen and I have a great rapport. You know, we can volley back and forth like with the rest of them. So really pulling that friendship that we already had and putting it onto screen felt natural. As soon as we found those characters, it felt natural and it was easy to go.
There's a real openness and sort of honesty to the film, partly with the friendship, partly with the way that you tackle these illnesses. Can you talk about how you sort of achieved that and went into sort of that element of the film?
First and foremost, ego and insecurities have to be put aside. And that's so, it is, it sounds so easy to do, but that's so hard. Yeah. Luckily, traveling 4,500 miles in 14 days doesn't give you enough time to overly critique yourself as an actor or a director. So letting that rawness come out, you know, yeah, some of it's acting, some of it's real because we're exhausted and we're traveling. So you get to see that kind of wear that the characters are experiencing that one does when you're on a road trip. It's fun, but it's exhausting. So that was always important. You know, I didn't take a drop of makeup with me as to avoid ever putting on makeup. Jennifer was smarter. she barely put, you know, but trying to accomplish that, you know, I'm with my best friend. I don't need to worry about what I look like all the time, but this movie will be seen forever. You know, is a gentle balance. Yeah. But again, we left ego and insecurity at the door. And that was kind of like one of the talks the four of us had before we left was like, if we're going to get this done, we just have to go, excuse my French, balls to the wall. Like, you know, I can't care that, you know, you just can't care. Yeah. As long as the story's there and you're happy with the characters, we couldn't care about anything else.
Was that one of the aims to sort of try and put the pain that they feel at certain points in?
Yes and no. Because we never wanted this movie to be about the illnesses. We never wanted the illnesses to take the front seat, to take center stage in any aspect. But because of these characters have these illnesses, they can't do life without us somewhat touching on it. So yeah, so like, so my character who has a flare up and she has a pain night, you know, so we get to see that. And then we also get to see how she has to handle it the next day as they keep driving. And like with Jennifer, it's the, always trying to regulate her blood sugar. We never wanted to spend a lot of time on that because we're not here to preach to people. We're just here to let people know that there's complex characters that, carry around something that could be very invisible to most of us, but they're dealing with a lot.
Yeah.
So, gosh, did I answer your question?
Absolutely, absolutely, and then some. Good. when it comes to showing those moments, though, not to dwell on it, of course, because I know it wasn't your main focus, but when you come to moments for your character, especially at some points, there's a scene where she's going to wash her hands, and there are moments where her sort of pain flares up. How do you communicate that to the viewer? How did you sort of go about staging those shots and saying, this is what she's going through?
Something that people that don't have chronic pain on their hands, that don't have a big sensitivity, may not notice about water faucets or anytime you go to wash your hands. Every single faucet is different. The way the water comes out is different. Sometimes you have soft water, hard water. Sometimes it comes out needles. Sometimes it's a soft waterfall. Sometimes it's so cold it sends a shock through your body. Those tiny little things can send me into a 3-day flare up in which I can't get out of bed. So it was incredibly important. I've spent a lot of time as a chronic pain person thinking about how water touches my skin. So showers and washing my hands, having a period every month, it's something that's just like wow, that, they have to go through it. So, if I had my druthers, we would have had a montage of just water coming out of different spigots. So you guys could see that like nothing is consistent from place to place that you go. So, and anyone that's sick, the number one thing you need is consistency so your body can get used to something. So, water was important because it's needed to survive. It's needed to clean,
Yeah.
but my God, it can be very painful. So, and I've spent a lot of time thinking about water and how it hits the hand. So I'm glad you were able to pick up that it's a thought process that she has to have before she can stick her hands under there.
The characters in the film, though, so the people that you and Jennifer play, then, are they taken from pieces of you, or are they simply inspired by you?
Inspired, like, oops. Nothing about the characters, either of the characters, is something either Jen and I would feel or do in real life, besides have an invisible illness. So, of course it has to be inspired or taken from, because we have an insight to a chronic illness that, that we get to bring something extra to a character that other actors that don't have that experience can't bring to it. So, I'm sorry, I forgot what I was saying.
It was sort of about whether the characters have had a piece taken from you, or whether they're simply inspired.
Yeah. So, again, Jen and I say this all the time. It's like, I would not do anything that my character did in that movie. Yeah. Not ever whatsoever. So, I would say that all that we really took was, we're inspired by two women that are friends that have a chronic illness.
Yeah.
And they live life.
There's this sort of balance with the positivity, with those moments of living life and simply just finding the joy and happiness, especially on this road trip setting. How do you balance all of that with the drama that you have? Was it something that you thought about, where sort of the scales of each, evening them out?
Yeah, I think for every inch of drama, there has to be an inch of comedy.
Yeah.
I especially, I kind of have a sick sense of humor. I laugh at very inappropriate things. You give me a good death joke, I'm good to go. Like, I love the dry British humor. That's where I like to exist. And I like to make fun of things that aren't appropriate. So that's helped me in real life deal with a chronic illness. And I also know that when trying to communicate a new story or a new type of character to people, you don't want to take a chronic illness or death or anything that's kind of too heavy and just keep it in that area, because we tend to reject it a little bit more. I always know that if it's sprinkled with some laughter, that you can swallow it better. A spoonful of sugar helps the medicine go down. Everything that I've ever written or even directed, if there's going to be a heavy drama moment, I'm going to need it followed up with something inappropriate or some comedy, because that just feels natural to me, because it's kind of life. It kind of is life.
When there is comedy, when there is humor, it's not exactly, in this film, it didn't strike me at least as overly dark. Did you try to go for a lighter tone just in case?
Yes. Yes. Yeah, that's all I can say. They have to reel me back. Yes. Yeah.
When some of those life scenes do sort of happen when your characters are traveling across the states over these thousands of miles, as you've already discussed, how did you manage to visit all these locations on such what I presume at least is such a small budget?
Oh yeah, yeah, very small budget. How did we manage to do that? Well, one of the great things about traveling in all these small towns in the middle of nowhere, USA, is no one cares if you're filming. No one cares a bit. And they're like, sure, go ahead, film. We don't care. And no, you don't have to pay me anything. So, the kindness of strangers, some guerrilla filmmaking helps keep things a little bit under budget. My husband slash cinematographer grew up in South Dakota,
Mm-hmm.
and his family is still there, and so like the farm and that the auto yard, all of that is his family's land and shop. So we knew we had access to that, so that helped. Just some stunning cinematography that we had there. And then, you know, if it's on screen, if it's a hotel room that's on screen, we also slept there. You know, this wasn't a glamorous shoot. You know, this wasn't 6 hours and we get to break for lunch. So, oh, don't tell SAG. Yeah, so we all had, you know, we had a goal. We had a goal. We knew how to keep it under budget. Also, you know, we own all the equipment. We own the camera. I was also the editor. You know, so the way your budget balloons is, you know, because you've got to bring more people in. And like I said, we cashed in on our own experience and did it ourselves. That helps keep costs very low.
Yeah. What's it like being your own editor for your own film? Is it tough when it comes to what you take out? Because this is a relatively short film.
Yeah. Yes. Editing myself is weird. Very much how I say, like, ego and insecurity has to be kept at the door. There's this like whole disassociation that happens. It's just, it really becomes about the story. And like, luckily I'm just not a very vain person. So it's easy for me just to go, this is what, I don't know, she's a different person. It wasn't me anymore. So I don't have to worry about that as much. I know the story I want to tell.
Yeah.
As you can tell, I might have a very strong personality. I knew what it was going to look like. We also, before we left, we printed out screen grabs from various movies. And we basically mapped out what we thought the movie was going to look like and printed out screenshots from different movies. So we had that notebook. So when it was like, we're driving somewhere, it was like, oh, this place looks awesome. We could flip through that and go, this is that shot that I want to get. So, you know, we pulled over and 20 minutes later, you know, we've shot a scene and it's done and it's good to go. So when it came to editing, it's like, ooh, I knew what we wanted and I knew how it needed to look. So I don't know, just do it.
How much footage did you have then to edit? Because I presume if you were stopping at various locations, there must have been a lot that you filmed.
Yes and no. You know, there was a like 1/2 story that we cut, but there wasn't a lot of superfluous footage.
Okay.
There just wasn't, because we couldn't. There wasn't enough time to overshoot anything. I mean, in fact, like I would have preferred more footage. So yeah, it was just so fast and frenzied. I would have loved more footage, really. I like choices. So, but yeah.
One of the things that I really liked about the film that I just really want to talk about, of course, it's a road trip film. You spend a lot of time in the car. In a number of films, even when James Corden goes around California, I think it is, doing carpool karaoke, there's always a car in front dragging the car that's actually in the film going along. But in this, I presume you didn't have the money. How did you do that? Did you have people sat in the back? Did you have cameras stuck to the window? How was that done?
So for the whole road trip, we had 2 vehicles.
Okay.
We had the production vehicle, which is what Jen and I drove. And Rob was, sorry, before we left town, Chris, our producer slash sound guy, he outfitted the whole car with wireless mics. So we were good to go on sound as much as possible in the car at any time. And then we also were ready to be mic'd if we needed to hop out and just go. We had wireless mics. So Rob Sinska was in the back of the car for a lot of it.
Mm.
And then he would shoot car to car too. He has an incredible background working in documentary and reality, and narrative, which is kind of unusual for DPs to have such a cross mix of what they shoot. So he does this. He's just really great at running and gunning and being able to tell the story at the same time. So that's always helpful. He was always in the back. We took headrests off the seats so he could as much OTS as possible. He's really great at creative camera angles. He hung out the car quite a few times. There's things I wouldn't recommend anyone doing. We did lose the lens. Somewhere outside of Idaho, not lose it, like it got cracked in the middle of hanging out the window filming a sunset, but we got it fixed. Yeah.
There are so many kids whose dream is just when they're on the highway, just stick their heads out going like 70 miles an hour and feel the wind in their faces. I can imagine that's absolute hell for the person holding the camera making a film.
You know what? You would think that, but like when Rob gets behind a camera, the world falls away. Yeah. Like he's scared of heights, he's scared of flying, but you put a camera in his hands and he'll go skydiving with you. It just takes away all of his fears and insecurities in life are gone when you put a camera in his hands. So, I mean, yeah, we were kids on a road trip making a movie. Yeah, and it was fun.
Do you think that helped to bring in the light sense of the piece?
Say again?
Do you think that helped to bring in the light sense of the piece?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Never want to keep it down. Keep it light.
Just a couple more questions from me and then I'll let you go. One of the big things of the film, and that it seems really important to it, and I don't know if this was the same for you, is the soundtrack. There are a number of songs that play at different locations for different reasons. How did you put together the soundtrack?
Well, before I could ever agree to really doing a road trip movie, I had to have music. And as an indie, indie budget, indie film, nobody has price for money for music. Now, however, before I ever lived in LA, I lived in Shreveport, Louisiana for a while, and my husband and I became crazy super fans of a local band there, and at the time they were called Superwater Sympathy, and we were just obsessed with them. We just thought they were the cat's meow. We made a music video for them, we did some photo shoots for them, and you know what, we just followed them, and they turned themselves into Hydrogen Child, and then they did some good tours, and then they grew up some more and they got married and had babies and they stopped making music. And we still think that they're the best band in the whole world. Anyway, so we called them up and said, hey, this is where we're at creatively. This what we want to go do is a road trip movie and we need some music. Could we use any of your music? And they said, are you kidding? You can have our whole catalog. And you talk about a kid at Christmas. So, with their music in hand, we did some slight rewrites to incorporate their music. We knew their music so well, so that helped immensely when knowing when I wanted songs playing in the edit, and while like the USA song, trying to sing those lyrics. And I think sometimes when you're in love with something for so long, all these little pieces in life suddenly come together and it all makes sense. So like the subconscious in my brain is working with that music without even really realizing how perfect it all went together. I mean, maybe I did know, I don't know. But the music does go so well, and we were just so lucky to get all of it, their whole catalog, which the soundtrack comes out at midnight tonight and Eastern Standard Time.
So it should be available when showing.
Yeah, the whole set. I'm very excited about the soundtrack. It's actually 24 tracks. We have some dialogue in between some song tracks.
Mm.
So it's a throwback to my 90s soundtracks that very much inspired me as a filmmaker and as a human.
Mm.
So yeah, gosh, I'm so excited for the world to get their hands on the soundtrack. I like to think of it as it's a mini movie in a soundtrack form. So if you've seen the movie, you can pick up the soundtrack and listen to it from track 1 to track 24, and be reminded and be able to follow the whole story again. So y'all should go order it, pre-order it, or just go order it. 9 hours ahead of us, Eastern Standard Time though. Okay, time zones.
When have you listened to the soundtrack then since?
Yeah.
Has it taken you back to that road trip?
Yes, but there's still songs that are just burned into me that are other parts of my life before this movie. So luckily I still get to, those songs still take me back to that time. But yeah, I mean, I can't hear them without thinking of my movie now. I've tied them to me forever.
I know you said you wouldn't repeat this experience, or it's you don't recommend anyone going out and doing something with this short notice. But yeah. Is there anything from this you would take out, even if it is just an excuse to go on another road trip?
You know what? Joy. Sometimes we make the process of making a movie harder than it needs to be. Yeah. And sometimes it makes sense. Sometimes extra money and a lot of people on set make sense. But then sometimes it's just about telling a story and the small intimacy of what we had. I would repeat that. If you're frustrated with making, if I'm talking to a filmmaker and you're frustrated with your studio sets, or really you're just frustrated with too many people, pare it down. Go back to the joy of what it was like just to tell a story, to make moving pictures come together that somehow makes sense. Like we look back on that time of production and like nobody has any bad memories. And bad things happen, but we don't have any bad memories because it was like kids playing. So do that. Go back to finding the joy of why we started making movies in the first place.
I know that Jon Favreau did very much the same thing when he'd done Iron Man and Cowboys and Aliens. He went and just made Chef, which was very much sort of about himself because he was just part of the studio system. Do you see yourself continuing down this line of independent filmmaking, or do you almost see yourself branching out?
I mean, never say never. Money is absolutely wonderful, but I really love the independent nature of it, especially as someone who is in chronic pain. Making my own schedule and being my own boss and answering to myself makes my life easier. Of course, if someone wants to give me lots of money to make a studio movie, that would be stupid to say no. Would I prefer to stay in the indie world? Yeah, because I like the smaller stories. I like weird stories. I like inappropriate things that I like to say fuck a lot. Sorry.
That's fine.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure there are films that have a bunch of swear words throughout this festival, so.
Okay, good. I'm just never quite sure the audience that, my producers, every time before I start speaking, they're like, Mindy, just keep the sailor talk in check. Okay. So
I'll make sure they put a warning before this.
It might be good.
And on that note, I think let's bring this to an end. Thank you very, very much for your time, Mindy. It's been a pleasure to talk to you. Make sure you check out The In-Between, of course, everyone, as part of the Paris International Film Festival, available from the 4th to the 14th of February. Mindy, once again, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.